No help for 240 miles. Not at gas station, not at diner, not at scene house with a light on in the window. 240 miles of gravel, mountains, and silence. And if your truck dies out there, nobody is coming. Not in 10 minutes, not in an hour, maybe not until morning. And down A, morning and be 60 degrees below zero. It is a road in Alaska that runs almost straight out to the top of the world. It has a boring official name, the Dalton Highway, but the men and women who drive it for a living rarely call it that. They call it the Haul Road. And a lot of them, even the ones with 20 years behind the wheel, will tell you the same thing. They respect tech. They prepare. And a small part of them fears that every you. Het was your staff probeer te fixen the expert. Today I want to take you up that road, mile by mile. I want to show you why a stretch of gravel in the far north scares people who are not scared of anything. Because it is not one big dramatic danger that gets you out Ted. It is something quieter than that, something you can measure on a map. Let me show you what I mean. Start in Fairbanks, Alaska. It is not a big city, but it has stores, hospitals, warm beds, and people. It is the last real chunk of normal life you are going to see for a long time. You drive north out of town, the pavement rolls under your tires, the trees crowd in close, and for about 80 miles everything feels almost ordinary. Then the pavement ends. It is a sign. It is famous. It warns you that you are leaving the last services behind, that the road ahead is gravel, that you should have extra fuel, extra tires, extra food, and a claim. Most people read that sign, take a photo, and turn around. The road does not care either way, it just keeps going north. This is where the Dalton Highway really begins. It runs 414 miles from the forests near Fairbanks all the way to Deadhorse, a grim little industrial camp on the edge of the Arctic Ocean. 414 miles, and in all of that distance there are only 3 places you could even loosely call a town. 3. Think about that for a second. Where you live, you probably pass 3 gas stations before you finish your morning coffee. Outhead, 3 stops have to cover distance longer than the entire countries. And the biggest gap between them, the stretch from a place called Cold Foot up to Deadhorse, is that 240 miles I told you about at the start. No fuel, no food, no help. Just you, your truck, and the math. So why does a road like this even exist? Nobody builds 400 miles of gravel into the Arctic for fun. The answer is oil. In the 1970s, they found a huge amount of oil up on the northern coast of Alaska at Prudhoe Bay. The problem was getting any out. The plan was to build a pipeline, 800 miles of steel pipe carrying warm crude oil down across the whole state. But to build a pipeline through the wilderness, you first need a road to haul the pipe, the trucks, the workers, and the fuel. As they built roads, and they built it fast. The whole 400 plus miles went in over just 5 months in 1974. 5 months through any of the roughest, coldest, emptiest country on the continent. And that is the thing I want you to hold on to, because it is the whole heart of this story. This road was never built for you. It was not built for tourists or road trippers or anybody looking for an adventure. It was built for the pipeline. It was built for the oil. Everything about it, the width, the grades, the surface, was designed on heavy industrial trucks doing a job. You are allowed to drive, but make no mistake. The road does not welcome you. Now let me get back to that word I keep using. Distance. Because people always ask the wrong question about this road. They ask, what is the scarier part? Is it the ice, the cliffs, the bears? And sure, all of that is out there. But that is not what makes the Haul Road dangerous. Makes it dangerous is time. Let me explain. In a normal place, a breakdown is annoying. Your engine dies, you pull over, you make a call, and somebody shows up. Maybe you wait 30 minutes, maybe an hour. It is a bad afternoon, and then it is over. Outhead, that entire system does not exist. It is no cell signal for most of the route. There is no tow truck sitting one town over. The nearest help might be a mechanic 200 miles away, who is asleep, who does not know you exist, and who could not reach you for 5 or 6 hours even if he did. So breakdown stops being an inconvenience. Out A breakdown becomes a survival situation, measured in hours. And in the winter, hours are exactly what you do not have. That is the real villain of this road, not the cold itself, not the ice itself. It is the distance between you and anyone who would save you. Everything else out, kid, is just a way for that distance to kill you. Alright, let me put you behind the wheel. Let me walk you north and show you what that distance actually feels like. The first big landmark comes about 56 miles in the Yukon River. It is one of the great rivers of North America, and there is exactly one bridge that crosses it in the entire state of Alaska. This one. It is a long wooden deck, tilted on a slope, and in the winter it glazes over with ice. You crawl across it, feeling your tires search for grip on the frozen planks, with a huge frozen river sliding by underneath you. It is a small camp on the far side where you can grab fuel. Fill up, top off everything. Because from there, the gaps between help start getting long. Keep driving, the trees start to shrink. Around milepost 115, you hit a sign that people stop for, the Arctic Circle. This is the line where, in the deep of winter, the sun does not really rise, and in the summer, it does not really set. It is a strange feeling to stand there. You are genuinely at the top of the planet now, and you still have hundreds of miles to go. Then you reach Coldfoot. Coldfoot is the last real stop, and it barely qualifies. It is a truck stop, a fuel pump, a place to eat, a place to sleep, and not much else. The name comes from an old story. Gold prospector came long ago, took one look at the winter, and got cold feet. They turned down and left. And we're in yet. Coldfoot has recorded most brutal temperatures in North America, down past 60 below, with unofficial readings even colder than that. At Coldfoot, every driver does the same ritual. They check the truck, they check the tires, they check the fuel, they check the weather ahead. Because Coldfoot is the doorway. North of V is a 240. North of V, there is nothing. So you leave Coldfoot, and now the country changes. Hello, this is a clean reference recording for speech synthesis. I am speaking at a calm and natural pace, with clear pronunciation and steady volume. You can use this sample to create longer narration, dialogue, or other spoken content. The recording contains several complete sentences with natural pauses and varied sounds. My tone remains consistent from beginning to end, making this voice suitable for demonstrations, creative experiments, educational material, and general text-to-speech testing. Hello, this is a clean reference recording for speech synthesis. I am speaking at a calm and natural pace, with clear pronunciation and steady volume. You can use this sample to create longer narration, dialogue, or other spoken content. The recording contains several complete sentences with natural pauses and varied sounds. My tone remains consistent from beginning to end, making this voice suitable for demonstrations, creative experiments, educational material, and general text-to-speech testing. But the road has to get to the other side, so it climbs. And it climbs to one place and get in atigun. That's for star. Atigun is the highest mountain pass in Alaska that a road crosses. Almost 5,000 feet up, right over the crest of the mountains, right over the line where all the rivers on one side flow toward the Pacific, and all the rivers on the other side flow toward the Arctic Ocean. It is beautiful, and it is one of the most dangerous pieces of road in the country. The grade is steep, steep enough that a loaded truck strains going up and fights to stay slow coming down. There are no guardrails. It is nothing between your tires and a long drop, but your own control of the vehicle. The wind rips across the top hard enough to blind you with blown snow. And the whole pass is avalanche country. Snow builds up on the slopes above the road, and sometimes it lets go, and sometimes it comes down across the road itself, and sometimes it comes down while somebody is driving through. truckers time this pass. They watch the weather. They wait for a window. Because if the wind is howling and the snow is moving, going over atigun is not brave. It is a way to disappear. Now let me talk about the road itself, the actual surface under your tires. For most of these 400 miles, you are not on smooth pavement. You are on gravel. And gravel does things that pavement never does. In the summer, when it is dry, the trucks kick walls of dust so thick you cannot see the vehicle in front of you. You drive into a brown cloud and just hope the road stays where you left it. When it rains, that same surface turns to thick, sucking mud, and hills that were easy become a fight for grip. And then there are the rocks. Loose gravel means flying gravel. A truck comes the other way at full speed, and it throws stones at your windshield like buckshot. Cracked windshields are so normal on this road that drivers barely mention them. It is just part of the toll. Hello, this is a clean reference recording for speech synthesis. I am speaking at a calm and natural pace, with clear pronunciation and steady volume. You can use this sample to create longer narration, dialogue, or other spoken content. The recording contains several complete sentences with natural pauses and varied sounds. My tone remains consistent from beginning to end, making this voice suitable for demonstrations, creative experiments, educational material, and general text-to-speech testing. It is a long, steep, sliding grade they call the Beaver Slide. It is a brutal set of climbs and drops they call the roller coaster. It is a tight, ugly corner with a name I'll let you imagine, a name that starts with the sound a driver makes right before he needs that hands. You do not get official warning signs for a lot of this. You get folklore. You get names passed driver to driver, and if you did not hear the story, you learn the spot the hard way. Let me stop the truck for a moment and talk about the cold. Because I have said 60 below a few times now, and I want you to actually understand what that means. At 60 below zero, the air hurts. A deep breath can make your lungs ache. Any skin you leave uncovered, you'd start to freeze in minutes. Metal will tear at your bare hands. Ordinary plastic gets brittle and can snap. And your truck feels it too. Diesel fuel and start to gel in that kind of cold, turning from a liquid into something like slush that the engine cannot use. Rubber hard dead, batteries weaken. That is why, up pet, the drivers almost never shut the engine off. They let it run for hours, overnight, day after day, because a truck that stops in that cold might be a truck that never starts again. Now put those two facts side by side. 60 below and no help for 240 miles. That is the trap. If your engine dies out there in the winter, your heat dies with it. And now the clock is running, not the clock until the tow truck comes. It is no tow truck. The clock until the cold gets into the cab and then into you. Rescue might be 5 or 6 hours away. The cold is a lot faster than that. This is why drivers on the haul road carry what looks like way too much gear. Extra fuel, extra food for days, Arctic sleeping bags, backup heat, extra everything. It is not paranoia. It is arithmetic. Out A? The gear is not for comfort. The gear is the difference between a bad night and a last night. Now you might be thinking, fine, but that is winter. Surely the summer is safe. And the summer is softer, yes. The sun barely sets, the temperature climbs, the killing cold backs off. But here is what the road wants you to forget. The distance does not back off. The 240 miles are still 240 miles. Help is still hours away. The summer just hides the danger better, and a hidden danger is often the worst kind, because it lets you relax. In summer, the dust comes back, thick and blinding. The mud comes back on the hills, and the road fills up with things that are alive. Caribou drift across in loose herds. Musk oxen, shaggy and ancient, stand in the road like they own it. Grizzly bears work the riverbanks. Hit a full-grown animal at speed out-hid, and now you are the one broken down in the same empty country with the same long wait, just without the cold to warn you to take it seriously. That is the trick of this road. It changes its costume with the seasons, but underneath the costume, it is always the same thing: distance and time, and nobody close enough to reach you fast. So what actually happens when it all goes wrong? Let me paint it for you the way the drivers describe it. Imagine you are up past Coldfoot. It is deep winter, and it is dark, 'cause up ahead the night can swallow almost the entire day. Snow is drifting across the road in long white snakes, and something on the truck lets go. Maybe the engine. Maybe you slide off the shoulder into deep snow and the wheels just spin.
You stop.
And then you notice the thing that gets everyone. The silence. No traffic sounds, no town glow on the horizon, no bars on your phone. Just wind and dark and a temperature that is already trying to get into the cab. Now you do the math, the same math this whole road is built on. Who knows where I am? When will they expect me? How long until anyone even realizes I am missing? And when they do, how many hours of frozen road are between me and them? The honest answer, a lot of the time, is that help is not coming soon. Maybe another trucker passes in an hour and stops, because up there they always stop. That unwritten rule, that you always stop for a stranded vehicle, is not politeness. It is a survival pact. Everyone keeps the E because everyone knows that next time the stranded one could be them. But maybe nobody comes for a long, long time. And so you wait, in the dark, in the cold, doing everything right and hoping right is enough. That is the haul road. Not one monster, just distance and time and cold, all working together patiently. Rich. Thank you.
People drive every day.
That is the part that always gets me. For all the fear, this road is also a job. Truckers haul food, fuel, pipe, and supplies up to Deadhorse and the oil fields, all year round, in the dark, in the cold, over Atigun, through the 240. Some of them have done it for decades. They know every dip and every bad corner by feel. They know exactly where the wind hits hardest and exactly where the ice hides. They are not reckless people. The reckless ones do not last up pit. The road removes them. The ones who last are careful, patient, and humble. They check the weather. They wait when they should wait. They carry too much gear. And they never assume the road owes them a safe trip. Because they understand the deal. This road was built for the oil, not for them. It tolerates them. In every run they make, they are borrowing safe passage from a place that could take it back at any moment. And what is waiting at the end of all of it? After the 240 miles after Atigun, after the dark and the cold and the dust, you finally roll into Deadhorse. And Deadhorse is not a reward. It is no warm little town, no crowd, no finish line. It is an industrial camp on the edge of the Arctic Ocean. Metal buildings, trucks, pipe, frozen ground. The end of the road looks almost exactly like the danger you drove through to reach it. You do not conquer this road. You just survive, unload, and get ready to do the whole thing again in reverse. So let me bring you back to where we started. Back to that number. 240 miles, no help. In most of your life, that phrase would just be a long drive. A podcast, a couple of coffees, a stretch of boredom. Out on the Dalton Highway, that same phrase is the whole danger, written out in plain numbers. It is the reason a strong, experienced driver checks the weather one more time before leaving Coldfoot. It is the reason the engine never stops running. It is the reason the gear fills the cab. The Dalton Highway does not need cliffs and monsters to be one of the most dangerous roads on Earth. All it needs is distance. Hello, this is a clean reference recording for speech synthesis. I am speaking at a calm and natural pace, with clear pronunciation and steady volume. You can use this sample to create longer narration, dialogue, or other spoken content. The recording contains several complete sentences with natural pauses and varied sounds. My tone remains consistent from beginning to end, making this voice suitable for demonstrations, creative experiments, educational material, and general text-to-speech testing. So the next time you are on some ordinary road, and your phone has signal, and a gas station glow out ahead, and you know that if anything goes wrong, someone will come. Remember that there is a place where none of that is true, where the help is real, but it is 240 miles away, and the cold is right at your door.